everyone. Welcome to SCV Means Business, the podcast where we meet the leaders of great companies making a difference in their community. I'm your host, Holly Schroeder, and I have two guests today, Tim and Sarah Hudson, the founders of Hudson Spider. Welcome, you two. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, Holly.
So let's learn a little bit about Hudson Spider and your entrepreneurial story. But maybe we start in the background. You guys are Australian, so tell us a little bit about how you ended up here in Los Angeles area and in the U.S.
You want to take that one? Or me?
Yeah, you take that one.
Yeah, so we're Australian. Australians are quite avid travelers, and we came to the US because I'm a cameraman or a DP or director of photography, cinematographer, one of those, and of course following the Hollywood dream. So we came out here, had a family living in Los Angeles, we were brought here by the film industry. Of course, it's the center of the world, and what brought us out to Santa Clarita is because we got into developing this product, and we looked all around the Los Angeles area and saw that Santa Clarita was by far the nicest, best place to raise kids and have a factory set up with the beautiful layout of the city.
Yeah, well, we're glad you enjoy it. So tell us about the product. So you were working as you said, as a cinematographer, a director of photography for a number of years, and maybe just talk a little bit about the role of lighting and what you were doing and how that led you to found Hudson Spider.
Sure. So one of the key roles for a cinematographer is the lighting and controlling how the look is going to film. And the light fixtures and all that sort of stuff is our kind of domain. We came across a lighting challenge on one shoot. On many shoots, we always come across lighting challenges, and we often adapt existing fixtures to solve the problems, but there was this one problem that couldn't be solved by anything existing, and so we came up with this wacky light that is adjustable, and it's a little bit different from any other light on the market. You can kind of shape the light a lot more than you can with a normal typical spotlight Fresnel soft panel. It's kind of got 8 gangly arms, which is why we call the company Hudson Spider, because it's like this light with 8 arms, and it's just a different fixture that solved that particular problem, and it went on to solve many other problems, and it's been a big hit in the couple of years that we've been doing this.
So how was the decision to start making this product become become an entrepreneur, really, from instead of just using it for your own solutions, but really turning into being a product manufacturer?
Well, I think that's a good one for Sarah, because I always have ideas like that, and she has never really greenlit any of them, so I'll let you take that one.
That's not true. I greenlit moving to America. That was a good one. This was kind of uniquely Tim's domain. He was at work, we had a young family, and he was coming back for a solid year telling me how great this contraption was, how much faster. He'd go to work and he'd get home after 4 hours from a 10-hour shoot, and I'm like, were you fired? And he's like, no, we just finished. We just finished quickly because the setup times, the people we need, everything. He said that the assistant directors are actually getting a bit furious with me because they're the ones in control of the budgets and the timing and the scheduling, and how long things are going to take. So they leave 2-3 hours for these setups with traditional lighting equipment, and they're literally, with this product he invented, setting up and ready to go in a minute flat. So it kind of started to get legs. Producers were saying, you need to make this. People, other like really solid DPs, Oscar-winning people were coming up saying, I heard about this thing, I need it for my next shoot. And we decided that this was one of those once-in-a-lifetime things. Everyone always says, I want to come up with an idea and, make something. But this one, it fell into our laps in a way, and we had to make a decision. Do we let it walk away, or do we grab it and run with it? And we decided it would be a bit of fun, and we were under no misconceptions how difficult it would be. but we decided to do it. Well, actually, we decided to try and sell the idea, and we walked around for a year trying to do that, and everyone wanted it, but they didn't want to put the work in. And now that we have put the work in and done it ourselves, I realize why they didn't want to, because it's insanely difficult to create a product. Like anybody who has done that, like, you know, especially if they're facing any other adversity, like hats off to them. Like we had 2 of us together, and you know, a pretty solid foundation to do it, and it's still, I mean, it nearly killed us, but we're here now and we're glad we did.
Well, so tell me a little bit about that journey from the product that you were using yourself to, you know, was there a lot of trial and error on the product? Was it about, what was some of the challenges that you encountered and how did you get past them? Was it in product development? Was it in sales? Was it in, you know, communicate? What was your, where did you, what was your experience?
Development was 100% the most difficult, because the contraption, as you call it, that Tim was using looked like a satellite dish, and he ended up having 3 of them by the end. So one was like 5 foot and 4 foot and 3 foot. So they nested together like a mixing bowls, and they'd roll in and out of the truck when you use them. But in order to get that product to the market, it had to be manipulated into a smaller shape to travel with, or even just a store. So at that point, technically should have involved engineers, designers, like CNC manufacturers, and we started down that route, and we paid a couple of designers, and we paid a few people to come up with this for us, but we realized that to get it to where it needed to be, it had to have thousands of hours spent on it. So Tim literally downloaded a copy of Rhino on Lightwell's 30 days free, actually, for the first, you know, and designed this
3D program.
Yeah, a 3D designing program, Rhino. He was able to get it from this huge satellite dish down to this folding, quite small, quite well protected unit when it travels. Then the issue became, now that it's folding, now that it moves, how do you make that so that it looks like a finished product that's gonna stand up to the riggers on set, because it's brutal out there. And the only way we realized in the end to do that was to get some CNC machines and work it out. And that's exactly what we did. We had a house in the Los Feliz area of LA, and long story short, we put this thing online on Squarespace. You know, we started a website and picked a price, and people started buying it. And we had said delivered December that year, and it was June, and we had no way of making it. So as soon as that first sale came in online, we sold the house and came out to Santa Clarita, bought some CNC machines, and worked it out. And I think there's people got it in their hands, like, I'm not joking, like the 30th of December. You know, the final deadline that we said, but it was the motivation to get us going.
So you went from being a cinematographer, Tim, to being a CNC machinist. And Sarah, your background's, you know, you were raising the kids at that point, but you had an entirely different background. So how do you just pivot like that? And what was that like for your business?
Well, it was kind of a great move, actually, because I'm still a working cinematographer. So our main marketing platform is Instagram. So I'm working on big commercials, a lot of Super Bowl commercials, high profile stuff. So I'd be able to go to set, use these products, take a lot of Instagram ready photographs, and be able to post that stuff of all these famous people being surrounded by our lights. And it's amazing how people latch onto that and go, oh, look, there's Jeff Bridges with one of those lights on him. And it just really helps the marketing. And it was great for me to be in the field and being able to adjust it and working with it in real situations, and being able to come back to the workshop and do that with all my marketing materials and intel, and also all the crews watching it, you know, that I was working with around the world, and still are. You know, I'm been shooting this week, shooting next week, still shooting a lot of commercials. And whenever I travel somewhere and use these lights, Sarah gets orders the next week from that city, wherever it is around the world. So it's been a really good thing, and keeping my finger on the pulse, really.
Yeah. And the family side of it, like family obviously comes, like, was priority, which was a major reason why we moved to Santa Clarita. And when we were looking for a factory, we had people advising us, and they were saying, we'll get this one because of space, or this one because of clearance, or this one's electricity's better. And we were literally like, we're getting this one because it's got a big grassy patch out the front and a huge big living area where we can put a TV and some toys, because we realized that the first year was going to be almost 24/7. Like we did have a mattress at that place that we'd plop down and take a quick nap on. And the children and us, there was, I think, 2 Thanksgivings and a Christmas where we actually ate at the shop in 2017, early 2018. So we made sure that everything could gel in together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we moved here. And we got a house a mile from the shop or less.
Yeah.
So
The girls
Sounds like you're practically living there as you were going through that product design and development phase.
yeah.
100%. If you had to pay us for those hours we put in, like if we worked for a company, like one of these other companies that really wanted the concept but was nervous about designing it, I now realize why. Because it would take so many years if you weren't living, breathing, sleeping it. It was intense.
I don't know what
So
other
did you-
town. I don't know what other town you could do that in apart from Santa Clarita. I think of City of Industry and all the industrial areas, North Hollywood and things like that. You couldn't do that with the kids riding down from the home to the factory and hanging out and running around on the grass. All the other, apart from maybe in the OC, they've got a little area, but this is such a great area for that family industrial kind of thing going on.
Yeah, it lets you make that sort of mid-career change when you
Yeah.
have other family obligations. So did you self-finance? Did you have investors? One of the things that entrepreneurs are always struggling with is, how do they finance their activities? What's your experience on that front?
It was self-financed. I think the key part there was what I mentioned earlier. We had a house in Los Feliz, and we sold it. And we, for the first 11 months in Santa Clarita, we moved into a 2-bedroom apartment with the 5 of us, because we knew it was just a sleep-in because we were at this factory space. And it was only 11 months before we were able to then get into a nice big family home.
So talk a little bit more about the product itself. And, you talked a little bit about how it creates sort of the soft lighting and is easier to set up. But for people who maybe don't know a lot about film shoots or want to understand how it works, I mean, tell me a little bit more about these gangly spider arms and what that does.
Yeah, well, the key is.
And I think I see some spider arms sticking out behind your head there a little bit, Tim.
Yeah, there's a couple there. Sarah's got a little baby one in front of us here. I know most of your viewers are probably listeners, so this little one's got 6 arms. We call it a mosquito, and the big one's got 8 arms. We call it a spider. And the key is the fact that these arms can be positioned in any direction in a radial fashion, and you can just turn it into just about any type of light. You can really mold the light. It's nothing's fixed in this thing. You can bounce it into an umbrella. You can point it directly at a subject and wrap it around, or you can spread it back and fill a room with light, or we've got so many accessories that it will adapt to. You put it flat and it becomes this huge flat soft box. You put it inside different accessories, and it's just such a versatile tool compared to other tools that we use as cinematographers that need a lot of extra gear to change the kind of light they put out. You can imagine like a spotlight that you have to put to make that a soft light. You have to put it through a big piece of diffusion, and you have to control that light with flags and things like that to be able to get that same result as what you can get from this one unit with an adapter. And that's the key. You can create just about any type of light that you want from this thing, except for a spotlight, all on one stand. So it's like this self-contained unit that it changes the dynamic. If you've been onto a film set before, you'll notice there's stands everywhere. It's just a mess. It's really a messy situation, whereas this turns into a really clean, nice place to work. Just that whole setup to achieve that look is just planted on one stand. It's all connected together, and as Sarah said before, when we'll be shooting in a particular direction, and when we go to turn around, typically the actors go back to their trailer, and we get a half an hour or so to reset the lights. With this thing, we break the shot, we start to turn around, somebody will pick up the big light and move it across in a matter of seconds, and the actor won't even be out the door before they get called back, and they don't get to their trailer. It's like, come back here. It's like, what? We're back? So it's just such a great, fast way of working, and I think a lot of it's the fact that this light can adapt and be all in one like that.
Yeah, it seems like it is small enough, I mean, at least that one, that it's also a little mobile. So, can you be moving with it, or do you need, I think lighting used to have these big contraptions where it's on not on strings, but on different devices
track.
to make something mobile. So does it play a role in that?
Yeah, it sure does. And again, because you're on mainly audio, I won't get out and demonstrate it too much, but there's one setup we have that's in like a China ball. One of these guys is in a China ball, and it makes this kind of sphere of omnidirectional light, and people put that on the end of a soundman's boom pole, and that extends out to something like 12 feet, and they'll put a battery on the pole, so that's completely self-sufficient, and they'll walk around with actresses all day long with that just up out of shot, so there's a traveling light, with actresses wherever they go. They just finished that. They did that prom movie last year with Meryl Streep and Nicole Kidman, and those two didn't go anywhere without one of those.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Mm-hmm. So what about, as you've been growing, you've now become experts in CNC machining. What does your workforce look like, and what was it like going from being the two of you figuring this out to bringing on workers and kind of what's been and growing, because you're not in that original facility now, you've moved to a new facility. So talk about that growth experience.
Yeah, for us, neither of us have ever had traditional jobs. Like, we've never worked for somebody else. So what that meant was we had no idea what a boss looked like, or how they behaved, or even how we had no idea. We were coming into this completely green. So we're literally hiring people at the start and saying, hey guys, this is going one or two ways. It's going, we're going to skyrocket and go to the moon, or we're going to be in the gutter in 6 months. So are you on or not? And we had some pretty wonderful people that did that growth with us, and we all learnt together, and it was a little bit of trial and error, to be perfectly honest. The main thing was I learnt very early on setting company like customer service policies. Like, it's very simple. It's like the answer is yes. So what that meant is it gave people, even when they were new or they weren't sure, they didn't come from a film industry background, they didn't know what to say when somebody rang, it gave them the confidence and the permission almost just to say yes to anything that anyone that rang, no matter what they were asking. And they were like, we've got you, don't you worry about it, Hudson Spider's got your back, let me just go and talk to someone, I'll give you a call and I'll tell you how we're going to do it. And that, I think, made everything grow faster and more smoother, because it wasn't people having to report back to us. It was very much we'll do anything for our customers, and then to make room for mistakes. Like, there was a lot of mistakes made, a lot of expensive mistakes, particularly as we're learning how to machine and how our staff are learning how to make our product. And I think giving room for mistakes helped the growth, because everyone feels confident to do what they need to do, because sometimes they come to me and they'd be like, Sarah, I'm so sorry, here's what happened and here's why. And again, Tim and my policy is that if you're not making mistakes, you're not trying hard enough. You're not pushing the envelope. You're not trying to, don't be an idiot. Don't make a mistake twice, because then we'll come at you. But, to do it, to make mistakes as we grow, kind of allowed the whole company to grow faster, because even though someone may have only been with us for 3 months, they knew that they weren't going to get destroyed for trying something. there's an open, we have a meeting every morning here, and people can come to us with their ideas, and it grows together, as opposed to us sitting in our ivory tower telling people how it is and not understanding what they're facing.
So
I
where
feel
does
like
that?
we're right at the
Oh, go ahead.
beginning. Sorry, I just feel like we're still right at the very beginning of all this. We're only little over 3 years old, so
Yeah,
I feel this is just the start.
yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
well, I can see great things ahead, and so where does that experimentation is so, and trial and error, as you call it, is so important, in the young years of a company, and as you're exploring. So where do you go next? Obviously, you've created a few products with this concept, but what do you see ahead? What are the new innovations are you working on through this trial and error process?
Well, I think innovations is where we're heading, and we have a lot of crew members coming in here and hanging out with their ideas, and it's becoming a resource for grips and lighting guys and camera guys to come and experiment with their ideas. We're very accommodating for them to come in. We've got a collaboration room upstairs with some 3D modeling gear and some 3D printers that they can come in and play with ideas, and often we'll just make them some parts and send them on their way. But some of these things have become products, and there's one that we're keeping for ourselves now. We're collaborating with a grip that's come in. We're doing a camera sliding platform. We're doing some outdoor lighting instruments, some beautiful outdoor lighting gear with a producer. We did some camera plates for some camera systems. So it's becoming a little bit of an industrial design firm, I feel, and the repetitive production of thousands and thousands of parts. We're not sure if we want to continue doing that with our little setup here, or whether we should focus on being a design-orientated deal with and sending out the repetitive work to outsource that.
Yeah.
One of my favorite little memories was people coming in, like they lose parts from cameras. Oh, I need this plate, or I need this, and we're like, we got you. We can whip everything we need. And then one guy came in one day and he goes, I just need this thing. I was like, yeah, I've got you. And then we finished it, and I gave it back to him, and I was like, what is this? He was a camera system. I'm like, what actually is this? He goes, oh, it's from my hot tub. I'm like, dude. Okay, fine. Okay, here it is. Go fix your hot tub. Those little pieces, because initially, as we were learning how to do this and teaching ourselves, we knew how to do our stuff, but we didn't know how to do anything else. So people walking in and saying, how can you make me this? It expanded our knowledge of our equipment and what we could quickly do. So it was all part of kind of the learning. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Well, I'm sure there is great stuff ahead. It's been a blast talking to you. So thanks for founding such a innovative, interesting company as part of our film industry here in the Santa Clarita Valley, and wishing you very much continued success. You can learn about other great Santa Clarita companies by listening to our podcast, which you can find wherever you get your podcasts, and now on YouTube. And if you go on YouTube, you can watch the video, and you can actually see a picture of the mosquito that Sarah showed, and learn more about Hudson Spider through that video. So thanks everyone for listening, and we will see you next time on SCV Means Business.